This is the If More Let's Divide podcast.
Charlie guys, what a go on. Welcome to the If More Let's Divide podcast. Apparently, people are calling it IMLD. Yeah, mailed. Emailed.
You know,
Emailed.
every time I write that too when I'm
Yeah,
making my notes and stuff, but I've never come up with like an enunciation for it.
Emailed.
Emailed.
Yeah, emailed.
That's the whole can be before.
Yeah. Yeah, Charlie guys, welcome. Another episode. We are here and thanks for joining us. And before we start this episode, we want to tell you to, still subscribe, still tell a friend, still leave a comment and
Share.
do everything in between. Share. Charlie, Fred, what happened?
What's good, my G?
Charlie. I mean, today looks like it's going to be, a little bit higher.
Academic.
Yeah, academic, Charlie.
'Cause I learned a few words.
Yeah.
Right?
Charlie, me, I know they like school. I've never liked school, man.
But for someone who doesn't...
But I was smart too.
Yeah, for someone who pretends you don't like school, you are very much into education.
No, the thing is that if I'm in school, I'm smart. Apart from math, like like everything, I will blow it. But I don't like school.
Well, maybe you don't like the routine of school and the settings, but you like to learn.
Maybe because I was beaten a whole lot when I was in basic school, junior, secondary school. Yeah, me, I was, Charlie. Charlie.
Stubborn Rasta.
Yeah. Charlie, today we have a very, very noble man in our midst. He's calm, very, very smart. And I'm like, Charlie, why don't we have him on an episode, because he has this Instagram page that I really, really follow and I really, really like. Yeah. Guys, without further ado, help me welcome Dr. Oduro-Frimpong, a lecturer at Ashesi University.
Booyaka.
Mr. Frimpong.
Brother.
What's up?
Charlie, we did.
I mean, I have been trying to get you on the podcast for a while now, but
that's true.
I realized that you had this exhibition.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, let me just chill for you to finish with your, duties.
True.
Before I hit you back. Then I hit you back after your exhibition.
Yeah.
Then you came through for us. Mm-hmm. So we thank you for coming through the pod.
Thank you.
The pleasure is mine, or as they say, the pressure is mine.
More pressure. Yeah. How did your exhibition go?
I think it did go very well. It did go, it's titled Visions of African Popular Culture, and it highlighted several themes. Mami Water, COVID, hand-painted books of African popular culture, and then there's one more. I think I've forgotten right now. Yeah.
You have been. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've been collecting signboards.
Yes, barbershop signs.
Barbershop signboards for a very, very long time.
Yes, since 2012 officially.
Wow. Mm-hmm. How many barbershop signboards do you have?
I mean, I don't want to give the numbers, but I mean, let's say about 70 pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, I do have 70 pieces. Some of the works, right, are commissioned. Others I collected from actual barbershop.
So like the ones that you collected from actual barbershops, do you pay them and tell them to take it off their shop?
Okay, so the strategy is to tell them that, look, can I have the old one and I'll make you a new one? Or you can go and ask for the price for a new one.
Then I'll pay.
And I'll pay, and then I get the old one. And then they get a new one. So I think it's a 50-50
It's a 50-50
deal.
deal.
Yeah. I have to be fair.
Yeah.
Ethical.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Like I would never have. Well, I've thought of some things before, but ripping signage, from stores just to keep for the future is very, very dope.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think it's because of the vanishing nature of these signs, and I think, there's some nostalgic, feeling to it as well. I grew up within that era where it was very common. and now it seems to be dying. You know, so
Well, it's good that you're collecting them, but I've always had a curiosity because when you study marketing and advertising outside, you talk about the psychology of advertising and everything. But locally, I don't know if there's any psychology or science to how, but there seem to be some running theme through all of the old signboards that you have that, nostalgic feeling about. And I know that that's what you kind of study. So is that part of the reason why you're collecting them, or are you studying it on an academic level?
So yes, I think it's a two-pronged thing. One is the nostalgic, feeling for that, and the other one is for research purposes.
Okay.
And even within the research purposes, it can be divided into two. So I'm preserving them so that other researchers can come and have tangible experience with those signs. And then I am also studying them for my research as well, because my degree is in cultural anthropology, but my specific focus is on African popular culture.
Okay.
And the barbershop and the beauty salon science is one of the genres, right, within African popular culture.
Oh, nice, nice. I mean, because it's very fascinating to me every time I drive past one, how they've positioned, the various characters in there, the colors they choose to use. Even though it's maybe hand painted, it doesn't necessarily depict how you want your haircuts to look.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
you kind of get the message
That's
of
true.
what they're trying to say, and
They all have this feel and look to it. Like the painting is solid, not enough shades here and there. It's just solid and bland. It's just there. So I mean, I am imagining those signage or those signboards in like 20, 30, 40 years to come. Like they will look so,
retro,
yeah.
like from a different galaxy.
And I'm sure, and I'm sure Mr. Frimpong would be able to make some cash.
So that's the thing. So two things real quick.
Yeah.
One thing about the barbershop signs is that these artists look for the freshest and the best of cuts out there, right? And then use them on the boards.
Yeah.
So for example, what's this artist's name?
Ludacris.
Ludacris seems to have one of the, very clean cut.
Yeah.
And he became, the face of Kobe Graham terms. Kobe Graham has a term, I forgot it, but he seems to be the face of barbershop signs, at least about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's, something about these artists. The other thing about making cash, I don't know if I'm going to make cash out of it. And do you know why? It's because I want just to preserve them.
Well, hopefully we can put him in the museum one day.
Yeah.
That's what I hope it. I kind of hope it ends up there.
I hope that we have a critical mass of like-minded people like us come together and then be able to convince an institution within the country to have these things preserved. Because, people will come and look at these things. People will come and look at them.
I mean, when we talk about Dirty December or now Come Back Home and all of that, one of the concerns that I have is it's only so much you can do beyond Accra nightlife and then going out to eat. We have to be able to share our culture in ways that is also creating an economic, interest for the people. You go to a museum, for instance,
True.
and then you go, so
True.
Prof,
Yeah.
Charlie.
So as aside the barbershop signs, are you collecting any other
Yeah, so I have did we talk about the movie posters or no?
No.
Okay, so I do collect hand-painted movie posters. These posters were very popular the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even up to the mid-2000s. And I do collect them. Maybe I have about over 200, 250.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen those.
Yeah.
Front back even has some.
Yeah.
But they're really
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for me, it's one of those things that it seems to be dying, or if not dead.
Yeah.
The practice is, dead. And for me, the thing was, if you really wanted to have engagement with these posters, you had to go to either Europe or to the US.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to collect these things. And I was really fortunate. There's one guy, I call him Mr. Charles, or that's how he refers to, himself. So Mr. Charles used to own, how should I even call it? A video center
Okay.
And they will rent out the videos, the VHS then.
Yeah.
And then he commissioned posters.
Oh, man.
Right. He was at Odoko, Gloryland.
Okay.
He was actually behind Gloryland. So this guy was, letting go of some of his works, not virtually all that he had, because he was going into refrigeration, right? And I bought all that he had, and then I was able to get about 4 of the living artists in the genre. So I do commission from time to time to add to the stock that I have.
Oh, wow.
All for preservation and for researchers to engage with.
Wow, that's
And even the general populace. It's not only for researchers, to be honest.
yeah. So like, is there a place? Is there like a gallery of some sort where people can come through and come and check out these things?
So fortunately, my university, Ashesi University,
Sure.
has been very generous. They've given me a space to establish a Center for African Popular Culture.
Oh.
So the space is to serve as a place where people can come and engage with, like the research materials, the scholarship on African popular culture, and also to be able to view some of these works. Which have been hung there.
Oh, okay.
So in the next 2 weeks, the center is going to be officially launched.
Oh.
And then people...
Oh, Tomo Ifogu. Is it in Accra? Or is it
at Ashesi.
Ashesi?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I've never been, actually.
Okay.
I've never been there.
Yeah, so it's about the size, either the size of this room or about 1.5 size of this space,
okay.
But it's a down payment, for things to come, I think.
Obviously.
Okay. So talking about Ashesi, I know so many people who went to Ashesi. Back in the day, I was, coming there to talk and all that. Ashesi is one university that I respect a whole lot and all that. How long have you been working in this university, and how did you even end up, there? Yeah.
So I joined Ashesi in 2012, September 2012.
Wow.
I graduated from my university in the US, August 2012.
Whoa, you're so precise. Whoa,
Yeah.
August, then the next month you were...
So I packed bag and baggage down, because after my interview, I got the letter saying, hey, you've been given an offer, so you start work in September, I think around 15th. So I just sold everything that I have, which was nothing. Because I was a graduate student, I had nothing. So the list that I had that I couldn't bring home, I sold them and then joined Ashesi. So I've been there for 11 years now. Yeah.
And how has the experience been like?
Yeah, the experience has been great. My department, Humanities and Social Sciences, doesn't grant degrees, right? And the university is also very small. So you come in and you don't plug in into pre-existing cliques as it exists elsewhere. So you have your freedom to, you don't owe anybody any favor, right? So long as, you're doing your job, you'll be fine. And I have been fine.
Oh, we thank God for that. But I'm curious about this African popular culture. Is that the discipline?
Yes.
Okay. Does it predate you? Is it something that existed that you just had to go to uni to study?
So the subfield of African popular culture definitely predates. How should I say this? So going back, my field is cultural anthropology.
Okay.
Right. And anthropologists do study societies and cultures.
Okay.
But I was interested in contemporary culture.
Okay.
And contemporary culture defined as cultural practices not linked to any particular ethnic group. Right. And so I did that. And when I came back to Ghana, I realized that in as much as we do have, the subfield of African popular culture with, more research works being published on or within that discipline, we didn't have a place where one can go to, that hub for one to go to have, how should I even term it? Yeah, to have an experience with the field in terms of the genres that are studied, in terms of this, the scholarship that exists. So I wanted to establish this center so that people can come there and,
Okay, so the concept of studying African popular culture was already something that anybody could have gone to school to study before you were...
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Which is an interesting It's an interesting subject matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's necessary. But where do you see popular culture as it is in Africa now, given Afrobeat and everything that's happening?
No, it's really thriving, and popular culture in Africa has been thriving, since the 60s, if I can put it that way. And it's not going anywhere. If anything at all, it's going to evolve and morph into different things. So if you think about high life music, right? High life music is a popular culture genre. It's morphed into, hip life, right? And now there's Afrobeat. So, I mean, I don't know what to say, but it's just going to keep on growing. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's
and changing.
and changing. I think even when you think about this dance, Balogo, right?
Yeah.
Balogo was deemed as a dance not worth being in the within polite society,
Yes.
or within polite space.
Yes.
And it became accepted. And it's so all that I'm saying is that popular cultural practices will keep growing, and new things will emerge. And so long as we have creativity within us, right, things will continue to change and morph and all that.
I mean, Fred went a step, ahead. So for, let's say, I don't know what popular culture is, right? What is popular culture?
Good point. Good point.
What's popular culture?
So when we talk about popular culture, we are dealing with cultural practices, one, that does not belong to any particular ethnic group, and they emerge on the backs of ordinary people. And with time, it becomes accepted. So let's take high life. How did high life, emerge? It emerged out of ordinary people's engagement with, musical instruments, right? And then, of course, we had the high life, which belonged to the elite, right? Think about Ramblers, E.T. Mensah's type of high life, right?
Yeah.
It was considered, elite.
I think Professor.
Because talking about that. So when we talk about popular culture, we're dealing with cultural practices that do not belong to one particular ethnic group, and they always emerge out of the back of ordinary people.
Yeah.
Think about Gollywood. Think about Nollywood.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Right. These, like Gollywood. Think about Socrates, Sappho, and all those guys. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah. It makes
fun.
So is it just limited to dance and music and or everything? It could be the way maybe people eat, or the way, like a lifestyle. Is it?
it goes beyond that.
It goes beyond that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
let me give you an example of a popular cultural practice. Have you heard of Mugabi proverbs?
Yeah.
Mugabi. Okay.
No, you know it. You know.
Oh yeah, Mugabi. Yeah.
Mugabi-
I was actually just reading one literally yesterday. Yeah.
So Mugabi proverbs, these are proverbs that people make up,
yeah.
right? But it's linked with President Mugabe, who was used to saying witty things,
Yeah.
right? We know that we have proverbs that exist in our culture,
Yeah.
but out of that cultural practice, they made the popular cultural practice of creating your own proverbs and attribute it to,
Mugabe,
so you don't know where it will come from,
Yeah.
but it's spontaneous sometimes. And then, or there was one called GH Quotes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
GH Quotes.
Yeah.
That also,
Those were
it trended
trends.
for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's an example of that.
Yeah. Okay. So, would popular culture, or based on the example you just gave us, would it have spread widely if technology wasn't with us?
I would argue the contrary.
Okay.
Because human interactions obviously occur online and offline.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
within offline encounters, you have people traveling, right, from Accra to Kumasi, right, Accra to Tamale. So I think what technology has done is to accelerate accelerate the spread of popular cultural practice. So think about Afrobeat. In as much as you have movements of musicians into the diaspora. you also have technology helping to accelerate the spread.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think popular culture practices that would definitely diffuse whether there's technology or not. You know?
Yeah, because I'm asking that because those two examples you gave, the Mugabi quotes and the GH, they happened on Twitter and stayed there.
Yeah.
I don't think my auntie who is my age would know anything, who isn't on social media would know anything about
But
it.
with the Mugabi Quotes, actually, there's a few restaurants that I've seen them use this Mugabi Quotes as like decor. The A Lounge is one.
Okay.
Pay us. But there's a couple of other restaurants. I see they frame them, and some of the quotes are so ridiculous. Mugabi did not say
That's
that.
right. That's
But
right.
they've been using it. So maybe I don't know. Like what he's saying, it's possible that because people associate Mugabi with certain ridiculousness, that would have translated in its own way. Without it being also, I don't know.
But there's something generational also about popular cultural practices. Depending on where you are on the spectrum, you align with certain practices.
I mean, true.
Yeah.
We are not Gen Z, so there's some things
we are also just that. Doc, so one of the things I've been very curious about, I think to some extent, when I find myself in the presence of people like you in academia, I always want to ask, and I did ask Professor Collins something similar to this, but I want to know what your thoughts are on political class, understanding the value of pop culture, because this is actually your field of expertise, and how important it is in not only nation building, but influencing the world out there on how they perceive us, in that it gives us some level of leverage. Right, where I feel like the West has been able to leverage their culture in so many ways that, the Cosby Show is not typically our settings in Ghana, but we all grew up idolizing those shows here, or the way Americans act. I mean, the influence on our music, so on and so forth. Now that we have the baton, it is government collaborating with academia and all of that, all the necessary stakeholders to make sure that pop culture is doing what we know it can do for a nation in its progress.
All right. Let's see. Let me take a stab at this. So, in terms of, let's say, the respect that we have for popular culture, I think there is no respect. There's little respect. I don't say no respect. There's little respect for popular. Let me give an example. So sometimes when I meet people, and they say, hey, what's your area of, research? I said, I'm an anthropologist. And you see the respect is there. So what do what type of things do you research? Well, I study political cartoons and hip life and obituary posters and vehicle inscriptions. And you can see the respect drop. And sometimes people are generous and they will say, so you went to the university to a doctorate about political cartoons. What they're trying to say is that, like, you've wasted your time.
Yes.
Right. So that's one. In terms of the resources, that are made available to people in the humanities and social sciences, which is where my field, is enmeshed in, there are no resources to, support such works, right? So from that angle, we see that we have some limitations over there. In terms of how the government should support popular cultural acts or practices, I think more can be done. I mean, if you look at what Nkrumah did, by supporting musicians, taking them on trips, there was a massive support. Compared to now, we don't have anything like that. Or if there is, I mean, the relevance of musicians to politicians come in only at the time of elections.
Yes.
So all that I'm saying is that much needs to be done. We the government needs to do more, and we also need to conscientize ourselves about the fact that popular cultural genres are routes to be able to think about the society, So,
But why does popular culture matter at all?
well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
It matters because it gives us a very solid understanding, right, of what is going on. In other words, it gives us the true pulse of what the masses
Okay.
feel. So let me give you an example. When Sakawa was in vogue,
Yes.
right, what was the political talk about Sakawa?
Yeah.
These guys are lazy and greedy, right?
Yeah.
That was the talk.
Yes.
Greedy and lazy.
Yeah.
Now, I dare you to go and look up all the movies that were the Nollywood, Gollywood, the Gollywood movies that were made about Sakawa. They talk about, yes, the youth are greedy. You have, they are lazy. But they also talked about the fact that there was massive unemployment, right? So people had to do what they had to do to survive. So all that I'm saying is that if you look at these movies, it gives you a very nuanced view of the Sakawa, menace. Whereas the political talk will give you a very, myopic, right, view. So why does popular culture matter? Or why does why does it matter? It matters because it helps us to have a balanced view of what is going on, vis-a-vis the political talk. That would be my response.
So, please, so these questions are just, So, is there a point where something that is pop culture stop being pop culture and becomes a part of, of us? Is there that transition where something that's pop culture stops being pop culture and becomes a part of the people?
Yeah. So sometimes people make the argument that popular culture practices are ephemeral.
Okay, please, I don't understand.
It's like
you understand?
Yeah, it's ephemeral, and as a result, it doesn't last long.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes true, but so yes, sometimes popular cultural practices do not last long.
Yeah.
But there are times that they do last, and when they do last, they become the identity or an identity of a society. Right. So again, let me use high life. My high life, even hip life. When hip life emerged, there was a certain, reservations about hip life, right? But then it was able to transcend those reservations and has become, a Ghanaian part of Ghanaian identity. So all that I'm saying is yes, so it doesn't stop being popular culture. It's just that it becomes resilient for it to become part of the identity of a group or a nation.
Would you say that social media is an example of pop culture in the sense that when we started, I remember we were young people getting on BBM, MSN. Now, WhatsApp and all of these IG and whatnot is as pervasive as it gets. My parents are using WhatsApp. Older people are using WhatsApp. Is that an example of what Mutombo is asking, that does it more from pop culture into now? Is it such a staple that not having WhatsApp almost sounds crazy?
So I would argue that social media is just a medium, right? And within that medium, you can have popular cultural elements operating within that. So for example, if you go through some of the data pages of Daily Graphic, you'll find all these advertisements for Orion, right, and all those things. So, social media is just a medium, right, where you have these practices, being.
I think let me give another example. These structural inscriptions, they've been with us since because I was seeing the bone shakers and all that, and they all had
inscriptions,
and so it's been with us for decades. Is it still? Can we still call it pop culture?
Yes. It's a practice that has come to stay.
Okay.
It emerged on the backs of ordinary people.
Yeah.
Ordinary people started it.
Yeah.
The evidence of the ordinary people is like the bad English, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's something that we see.
Yeah.
But the practice has, it wasn't a fad. It wasn't something that came and went away. It has come to stay because the people love that particular way of communicating. Let's put it that way, right? So,
I want to go back a little bit to your time in uni, MHSC. I was rereading your little one-pager on their site, and the first line, there was a big English there. There was
Pedagogy.
pedagogy.
No, not dog. If they like dog, this guy. Pedagogy.
Okay. So the first line was how you teach is so different, relaxed and all that. Why that route?
I think academia is seen as very stiff.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why I didn't
and it was
like
my
it.
experience. People come in and it's like you have to be very serious. I understand that view.
Yeah.
But for me, it's very stifling, right? To use that approach where I have to be serious all the time. So I teach classes, which are 1 hour, 30 minutes. And I have to be so serious to tell the student that they have to learn. If you look at ordinary life, that's not how learning, occurs.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, how do I deviate from this norm? Yeah, this normative way of teaching. And I felt, using the stand-up approach, right? Because even look at this proverb. We didn't play and drunkenness.
Yeah.
We are reflective of what we are doing. So that was the approach. So I had to also find a way of living this serious way of teaching. And I felt the stand-up, the stand-up comedy approach was good for me. In any way, I'm also very, how should I say it? I'm terrified of standing in front of people to speak.
Really?
Yes.
It doesn't look like it at all, because I've seen you speak on different stages.
Like when you're having such conversations, I feel like it's relaxed,
Right.
And I can make mistakes.
Yes.
And nobody would judge me. We are flowing, right? Yeah. But when I feel, when I stand in front of my peers, I am a bad speaker.
Wow.
I need to have a script, to able to read off, get my message across, and then, we can talk. So anyways, the stand-up approach for me fits my personality, where I can make the students laugh. But my students will tell you that, I'm a comedian in class, but they also know that when I want things done,
you want them done.
I want them done. So so that's about my teaching style.
Since we are in Ashesi, let me ask you this question before we move on. Will Ashesi ever offer degrees in arts aside degrees in engineering and business?
If you had asked me this question about, let's say, 2 years ago, I would have said no. But Ashesi is in its third decade.
Yeah.
And in the third decade, the department has been mandated to come up with, a plan for us to offer degrees in the human and social sciences. So I would say yes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Then it's time to enroll in Ashesi.
One time I had dreams of going there, then I saw the tuition.
Talk.
No, but you shouldn't be afraid of the tuition. And I say this within the knowledge that Ashesi offers, scholarships. Okay. So let's assume, let's say, your dad earns, let's say, $100,000. Well, that is a huge amount. Let's also assume that your parents, not your father, your parents have 5 kids. The $100,000 might not be enough. If you're able to, if your parents are able to prove that, in spite of earning $100,000, and please, audiences, I know we are in Ghana, but I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
if your parents are able to prove that, look, I need partial scholarship or whatever, full scholarship for my ward because of this burden, you'll be able to get.
Does the school accept like adults like myself?
Not since not since I've been there.
Okay,
Not since
okay,
I've been there.
okay.
You know, so.
I go walk the campus there and I say, Daddy.
Daddy is in class. Keep quiet. Don't respect you more than the lecturer. You grow past the lecturer.
Charlie, say, Daddy, please, what career path should we take?
At your age.
Nice. So, talking about pop culture, popular culture, and all that, I want us to talk about cancel culture.
Okay, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Are there some popular culture? Fred, give me the word.
Traits.
Yeah. Are there some things in popular culture that you think has to be struck out or struck out?
I thought you were going to go the route of other things in popular culture that you can engage with that can get you cancelled.
Okay, yeah, that's yeah.
Yes, you have to be very careful. So, have you guys heard of the Mohammedan cartoons?
I know the taboo against doing
Depicted, yeah. So these cartoons came out, and it caused a huge, stir. As an academic, I will not deal with such cartoons, right? Because it can, it can get me cancelled, or it can cause, it's dangerous.
Yes.
To dabble in that. Let's talk even about the current, Palestinian, Israeli conflict.
Yeah, I'm
right?
seeing people losing their jobs and all that.
Yeah. So if there are cartoons, right, and Frimpong is supposed to engage with that, I have to be very careful. If I want to engage with such cartoons, right, I have to be very careful to present it in a way that doesn't seem to support one over the other. I may have my convictions about who is right or wrong, however that is defined, but I have to state it in ways because Frimpong has not built his own university. Frimpong works in a university. So perhaps the university has his sponsors, right, who might be aligned with one of the factions.
Yeah.
So one has to be careful when dealing with such sensitive topics as a researcher, right? So that's the way I will answer your question.
Isn't there freedom of speech? Are we not entitled to, support and to be aligned with whoever we want to, be aligned with? But even forget about it. Isn't there freedom of speech? And, Do
you remember what Idi Amin said? He said you have freedom of speech, but you do not have freedom after speech.
After speech, yeah. Well,
so,
true.
So, I mean,
and that's it. I mean, I guess there's always caution, but I'm also curious since you brought this subject up, in terms of the Mohammedan cartoons or whatever. Do you have any thoughts on why it's much more acceptable to mock Christianity freely, as opposed to if you mock Islam or any other religion, it becomes super, super sensitive where it's like, okay, you're in trouble now?
Maybe I think people have also sensed the reactions of Christians to the mocking and then just operating within that. So people have also sensed reactions of people in other religions and are responding to that. So if I mock you and you are silent, then I'll continue to mock, right? But if I mock you and there is a negative reaction, then people will be measured in the way. So my response is that I think people mock Christians more because of the reactions that
because God said, forgive 77 times 10 or something.
So
in the Bible?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
I should
just sharpen my.
Yeah. Or what about like the slap and then you turn the other cheek?
That one,
all of that.
That one will make sense. Yeah. But that's not what we're talking about. But I find it a bit
Yeah.
Yeah.
progressive. You know, that one religion can be mocked and the other is kind of off limits. But I respect the Muslims too, because sometimes I feel like Christians bend over too much backwards, where they don't stand in their own principles.
Yeah.
What is the name of this guy who was arrested? He's kind of a celebrity. I don't say he make provocative statements. I remember.
I know the one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
he's bald.
Yes,
you know.
I know exactly. I can't think of
Here
it.
in Ghana?
No,
No,
he
no.
was recently arrested in one of the. I don't. This sounds so bad. I don't say Russian countries, but anyways, he was arrested for kidnapping a female. Anyways,
Tate?
Tate, yes,
yeah,
yes,
Tate,
yes.
Tate.
So Tate said, he's now a Muslim because the religion, there are certain good qualities about the religion, and one is standing for itself. The religion standing for itself
So.
in terms of any onslaught,
Yes.
and he seems that Christians have no backbone. So
They blow with the wind. I think the Christianity, as far as I can tell, is willing to go with popular culture
Yeah.
to sway as many people as possible. So it's like, are we principled about this or not? But then you have the Pope coming out to endorse something that maybe the Bible clearly says we don't endorse. And that's neither here nor there. But for me, from a religious standpoint, if these are your beliefs and you easily like exchange them for what's expedient, then people would be more like, throw away with it, like this thing, this body. I know you've been serious about the thing that they're saying.
Yeah.
So
Solid. I am fascinated about your Instagram page.
okay, the Ghanaian
Guys.
popular culture page.
Follow Ghanaian _popular _culture.
so, yeah, I checked it
You
out.
know, I've been following the page for years. Like,
Yes.
for
Yeah.
years. Why did you feel the need to create a page like that?
Several reasons. One, a personal archive, right? A personal archive where I can, because sometimes ideas speculate, and you don't have a grasp on it. But I don't want to throw that data away.
Yeah.
So then I put it there. The other is for other scholars in either African popular culture or global popular culture to be able to have comparative data,
Yeah.
to use. The third and the most important reason is to make that statement, although I don't think I've made it very solidly over there, to make the statement that, look, these things that you see are things to think with and understand what is going on in Ghana, to give you the pulse. So let me give an example. I had some of the Obinim sticker challenge images there. On the face of it, people are just having fun.
Yeah.
But people were not having fun. Or actually, they were having fun and also making a statement. And that statement was to cast, doubt and suspicion towards that claim that, if you put this sticker on any part of your body, you'll be healed. Or if you have a problem, So why do I have that page? Archiving purposes, research purposes, and also to make the statement that, these things are not just silly and, you laugh at it and that is it. These things are things that can help you to reflect and give you a pulse of what is going on in Ghana. I would argue.
And some years ago, you were posting, obituary posters a whole lot.
Yes,
Do you still do?
I do. In fact, I do.
And that actually, so some weeks or months ago, I was going through my things and I saw my mom's, obituary poster, one of them. And I've seen the change, how it has changed over the years till now. That obituary, my mom's obituary, looks so outdated. It was black and white. It was simple, straight to the point. But now you see all sort of things, even apart from, obituary and at rest back in the day. Now,
What a shock.
yeah, what a shock and all that. Like why do you think these things are happening now? Because now I've seen stuff like serious stuff apart from what a shock die too soon.
Yeah.
And I've seen wicked. I've even seen wicked man. We thank God that you are dead.
That's right.
I've seen crazy things. Why do you think that the man is now not scared of, in quotes, death?
Shush. I don't think that people are scared. People are not scared of death. I think it's just reflecting the times in which we are in, where people going by the tags. Now, it used to be just obituary.
Yeah, obituary.
But now what a shock and all those things. It's just reflecting the times regarding how people want to perhaps announce, or how they feel about the deceased.
Yeah.
Right. So that is, that is with the tag at the top. But like so many interesting things go on in the poster. That that people take for granted.
Yeah.
For me, there are certain aspects of the poster that reflect certain philosophical ideas that we have, right? It also reflects certain values that we hold dear, right? So let me give you several examples. So when you look at virtually all the posters, at the bottom, you have all friends and sympathizers are welcome. What does that mean, for example? Well, it reflects the way funerals are arranged or held, which is open-ended.
Yes.
So long as you go by certain, protocols, you must dress well, right? When you come, you have to give nsawa, right? When you do give the nsawa, you have to be served, right? So the all friends and sympathizers are welcome is indicative of how we do our funerals, which totally contrasts how it is done elsewhere. So these things index certain values that we have. I mean, at a kind of like a meta level, it symbolizes our communalistic way of living, right? Where we are not individualistic. Everything is communal, right? Should I give another example?
Yeah, please.
On some, on some of the posters, what do you find? The deceased children, and sometimes, so where the person currently resides, where the person works, and what do you do? So Joseph Oduro-Frimpong, PhD, Ashasi University, and then where I live, let's say Nyaniba Estates, right? What is that doing, or what is it indexing?
It's trying to show the status of the person that's passed on, what they've achieved.
Yes,
stuff.
but it also shows that in our society, you can marry for love, but love is not the only determinant, right, of that, how's it called, of that arrangement.
Union.
Children is, you must have children. Right? But any fool can have a child. You have to ensure that you look after your child or your children so that they become respected members
of society.
So once you've done that, then it reflects good on you, the deceased. So you have achieved the societal ideal.
Yes.
And that's what it's doing. Right? That in this society, you don't marry only for love. You marry for love, but there have to be children because the notion of the family has to go on. So you have achieved or fulfilled the societal ideal. But we can go on and on. That's
one thing that you said, when we're talking about the tax, you said people are expressing how they feel. Said something along those lines. I'm yet to see or hear people express how they feel about the deceased when they are reading the tributes. Like, I've never seen anyone talk bad about the person lying in state yet. Fred, have you seen?
I think my tribute to my dad was...
But was it bland and bad?
It was blunt.
Really?
Yeah. I wrote it.
I have to see.
Which is a deviation from the norm, right? Because,
I got away with it because I wrote it... I had never been to a funeral before. My dad's funeral was the first funeral experience in my life. And I was living in the States at the time.
Okay.
And there was a bit of, funeral drama culturally. So there was a bit of drama before I came, and they were requesting for my tribute, and I'm like, to hell with you guys.
Yeah.
It's my dad's tribute. I'm gonna read it on the day of. I didn't know that they have to do a brochure and everything.
Yeah.
So the day that I landed off my computer, then they printed it. So at the day of the funeral, they actually printed it on pamphlets and passed it around. So nobody knew what I was about to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's probably why I got away with it.
I would want to read that. Also, what I've seen recently about obituaries is the burial. They write, private.
Yes.
Yeah,
Private burial.
you've seen that, right?
Yeah.
Now they don't. Many of them don't put it out there.
Yeah.
Why? Is it because of COVID or?
No, I think it's because of the emergence of private
Cemeteries.
cemeteries like transitions.
And then the one at East Legon was the name.
Lashibi.
It was a
Lashibi
big one
one.
at East Legon.
Gethsemane.
Gethsemane, yeah.
and all
So
those places.
the rise of these private cemeteries
Yeah.
is also a factor where people are beginning to consolidate, I would say, by not extending the invitation wide.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have what you call funeral contractors. These are people that will scout
Yeah.
the good funerals, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Fred, you go.
Yeah. I find your work quite intriguing. What you're doing. I'm trying to take you back to something I was asking before.
okay.
To try and see how, because I'm interested in progress. What role? I know I asked you a variation of the question, but I'm interested in what you personally think the role of pop culture can be in our larger progress, like economically. What can it do for us if it's harnessed properly? From where you sit.
So let's take, Afrobeat and how Nigerians have been able to,
Milk it.
thank you. Seriously,
Yeah.
they've been able to do that. Okay, so if you look at that, and we have several examples. So let's take even the, Hollywood, industry. Let's take the extent to which now you have Nollywood films being shown on Netflix, right? Nollywood came up, nobody was supporting it. It got governmental push, right?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it got governmental support, and now other stakeholders have joined in. I say this to say that there's a huge potential, right, in popular cultural practices that government should support. I mean, now the hand-painted movie posters I'm telling you about, they've become collectors items, right? You have people commissioning them. The cheapest that you can get is between $800 and $1,000.
Wow.
Right? So if government says, let's get the existing roadside painters, right? The existing legends, right? Let's get them to train hand-painted or roadside artists. We can milk that particular industry.
Yes.
In essence, the government should put in more effort because much is to be gained, right? From these seemingly unimportant. Because I think that's the perception.
Yeah.
The perception that these are things that don't matter.
Yeah. It will pass. It will pass.
They don't matter. And therefore, we are not going to put resources into it. I don't know if I answered your question.
You did.
Yeah.
I mean, I see the angle, and I hope that eventually we get the right kind of leadership to support the things that we need.
Because
to
it's just, I don't want to say annoying. It's very frustrating,
Yes.
To see some of these genres that are being left to rot. Currently in Accra, you have Jasper. These are like the known roadside artists. You have Jasper, you have Heavy J, you have a guy called Safira and Shetty. And then there's one guy called, his name escapes me, but there are about 5. You can count them on your fingers. These are the guys around.
Yeah.
So what about if you like the government resource them, right? Anyways.
I mean, one of the ways that I would even think of, because I've been running around, we don't have the resources. I always tell Mutombo, I'm always coming up with ideas. I don't have money to support. But even from me, the names that you're saying, for instance, them being legends, is easy content creation where you can shoot a documentary, follow these people for a year, and then put it on Netflix.
That's
because
right.
people
That's right.
want to. My disappointment with selling Ghana and saying return home and come back home is, what are they coming back home to?
True.
You want to tell people about your culture so they are curious and they are intrigued. And then when they come, they can spread the wealth.
That's right.
Go into various places like, oh, we got to go check out Jasper.
That's right.
Because now Jasper has popped up on their Netflix or whatever it is that is being built. We have to attach some more organic, I guess, effort into making sure that it's a staple, it stays. And we're not doing that. So I get a bit frustrated, but hearing you document this stuff, being a professor, like, it makes me feel like it's serious business. Because if something is academic, it's as serious as it gets.
People have built their academic careers on popular culture in Africa. You have scholars in Europe who have made careers out of it. So from that angle, it's something worth, putting resources into. In Ghana, I think we are about only 2 or 3,
Wow.
Scholars in the field.
Wow.
So, and again, there's that mindset that these practices don't matter. But if you take a serious approach to it, you realize actually it's a gold mine for academics. And it's a gold mine, for government to be able to, make money out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
So
people to benefit. Going back to the funeral thing, I wanted to ask you about, do you think we have some sort of fetish with funeral culture in this country where we are looking? I've seen people pass away and the amount of resources being poured into just the burial and all of that. And maybe the same person in their lifetime, their hospital bills and whatnot, they are calling several people and people are like just ignoring them and whatnot. And then the obituary, as you said, is listed.
Yeah.
They'll do elaborate brochures. And sometimes my personal viewpoint is it's an ego stroke for the living because the dead is gone and you don't care. What is it that is making us promote that funeral culture, quote unquote, because it's very popular and I think it falls in the.
Let me add something to what you just said. I think 2 weeks ago, a minister just came out to say he's planning on making funerals a tourist attraction.
and he got lambasted.
Yeah. So go on.
Yeah. I think there's something about individual disgrace and family corporate disgrace, which, because of our culture, we want to avoid, right? And that spills over into the way we organize funerals. So imagine your dad is dead. So imagine your dad has passed, and you say, "Oh, Frimpong Charlie, my dad is dead," and I come, and I'm giving only water, right? No food. There's no music. What am I going to tell other people about your dad's funeral? It's going to be highly derogatory, right? Right? And people, whether they want it or not, want to avoid that. They want to avoid that tag of the a year being bad funeral. So they will put resources into it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't think there's a fetish for the dead. There's rather, you use this phrase, ego stroking, for the living, for the family, because the family want to present this good face, right, to the public.
So we're doing well, or
it's like
we're a good family.
Yes, we are a good family. We are not this stingy family, or we are not this poor family, and everybody knows that it's a lie.
Yes,
right. In most cases, but then once you present that face, then I don't know how to even express it, but I believe that it is not because people have fetish for
funerals,
but it's rather something that this concept of enimguase.
Yes.
Right. Send a bear on winning nguase.
Yes.
right? And that spills over into all these, exaggerated expenses that they move into. I think that'll be my take.
Wow. So what do you think?
What's your question?
No,
So
the question is like, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no,
Ty.
the question is, do you think that ebusuya dofunu, or is it because people just want to, the family wants to look good?
Me, honestly, I think it's just to boost their egos and make them look, because I've been in a similar situation before, where a family called on me, to come and help them, to come and give them something small, or else, several times, several times. There are times that even in my own family, I had to step in because, Charlie, this one, yes, if you don't do it, the family is going to, So I think it's
Yeah, sometimes I think about these things. I want to put them out there, but I find it very. I can't find the word, but let me use offensive for lack of a better word. That somebody is mourning, and then you are sitting down eating kinky.
Yeah.
You are thinking about umutu. You are thinking about all the nice.
It is part of. It has been a part from.
Yeah.
From
So
time.
is it a part of grieving or?
Yeah. I think so. You cry small, you eat small,
And there's
then
also,
you go home.
Yeah, there's also this idea that you have people traveling long distances.
Yeah,
So
to
you
come
have
and
to
support you,
come and so you have to play the good host. But then now it's morphed into exploitation of that benevolence, where people will eat and then store some and take home.
Adrian,
Adrian,
I can't even eat like
No,
I've been
never.
to say I can
Never.
I can't.
You will never
Yeah.
catch me.
Yeah,
You will never
it's
ever catch
fine.
me. Frimpong, did anything start that stood the test of time that proved you wrong?
Say that question again.
Did anything, did a trend start that actually stood at its test of time, that actually stayed for a very, very, very long time, that you actually had doubt? Oh, no, this thing.
Pose that
wouldn't.
question, let me answer, and then I'll reflect on that. No, I said you should pose the question to you.
Yeah,
And then
Fred.
let me reflect.
Oh, what
on
I
that.
thought was going to be a
Yeah.
trend and it caught on. I don't even know if actually ass eating. I mean,
I mean, people were saying that a whole lot online.
I just thought it was a joke, but it's now a fixed part of like. It's
but I don't think people are actually practicing it. It's just trying to tell someone how deep you go for them.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Because people are telling me they are doing it. That's why it's become like
I mean-
fellatio, like blowjob.
Yeah.
Sort of. Sorry.
No,
Doc.
like,
I'm sure I threw you off.
hey, my students will tell you I give weird examples. So
I mean, I just couldn't think of anything. Just like it's stuck since 2013, and this.
I did die. That threw me off, actually.
but no, nothing comes to me though. Honestly, nothing.
Yeah.
Can I feed you a question so that you ask and then I will answer?
Yeah.
Like, what got me? How did I get interested in popular culture?
I was actually, I have that down.
Oh, okay,
So,
but yeah, nothing comes to me on that. Nothing. Maybe I have to reflect on that. Nothing. To be honest,
Okay.
I'm stumped by this question.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. Since you have asked your question, what actually got you here?
So I did not plan to be interested in popular culture as a research area. I think when I reflect back, this might sound like a cliche. It all boils down to how I grew up. So this is how I grew up. I grew up at Abekan La Paz.
Okay.
The ghettos.
Yes. So grew up at Abekan La Paz, or La Paz, but then went to preparatory school at Abekan. I went to a school called Harrow International School.
Okay.
Harrow International School. And if you know La Paz all the way to Abekan,
I know that's a different route.
yeah, it was the hub of popular cultural activity, right? That's where you had all the famous high-life musicians.
Yeah.
Pedu, Amachidede.
Yeah.
It was a place to live in order to make it. There was a place called Eleganza.
No, it's not Eleganza.
okay.
I was thinking of Santana Hotel.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Santana is at Tessano.
Yeah, Tessano. Yeah.
So, so that space. So growing up there, that's where you had all the video centers.
Yeah,
And these video
yeah.
centers will come and put their hand-painted movie posters advertising the movies.
Yeah.
The other thing also, my mom had an akpete bar,
Okay.
and she had all these LPs. You know, it was a very nice akpete bar. Of course, we also sold beer, but you had all these LPs and later on cassettes, right, of high life musicians. When I went to the States to study, this gentleman came and told my mom that he was going to transfer all the songs onto CDs, not knowing this guy had come from the US and wanted to buy LPs. So the guy came and scammed my mom
Oh, Charlie.
and got everything. Like we had stacks. Anyways,
So wait, the guy never came back.
oh no, he never came back.
Brony.
Debbie Ghanaian.
Oh.
Ghanaian came.
Oh, Charlie,
Somebody that I even knew. I knew when I was growing up. He used to come to our shop. And my mom's nickname was Miliki. Oh, Madam Miliki. If instance, idea with you, these LPs, these LPs, like if you don't transfer them and it scratches, you lose them. And my mom said, oh, this is a good suggestion. Give everything to the guy. And then the guy, scammed her. Anyways, so, so I grew up at Bekala Pass, the hub of popular cultural stuff. I went to the university. I wanted to do my doctorate in Nollywood, later Gallywood, because I couldn't go to Nigeria, financial reasons. And then in 2008, I came to do field work. And let me backtrack a little bit. When I was coming to Ghana, somebody told me that there was this exhibition in Chicago. So I went to see the exhibition, and it was these hand-painted movie posters. And I'm like, I grew up on this, So at the back of my mind, if I come, I'll try to get, 5 pieces for keepsake.
Okay.
Anyways, I came to Ghana, and whilst I was doing my research on, Gallywood, it was at that time that you had, some of these producers incorporating hip life into the movies. So I saw that like studying, Gallywood alone was limited.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, let me also get my feet wet into hip life. I grew up when hip life boomed.
Yep.
So I had my feet there way back. So when I went back after my 3-month stint of field work, I also came back to Ghana in 2010 for a 6-month field work. So I told my supervisor, look, I'm not going to study only Gallywood. I'm going to extend my tentacles and look at all these genres. And that's what my dissertation, is about. So if you want to study or if you want to trace my interest in
it stems from your childhood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Abekala Pass was yes.
And I had a girlfriend there.
This also.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this also makes me remember my late friend Nanose.
Yeah.
He lived there.
I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He lived there.
He was a great guy.
Yeah, very, very great guy. So how do you keep up with the trends? Like, do you blend with the Gen Zs and all that? Or how do you get your info with like things going on in town?
Yeah. So I mean, first off, I try to stay on track in terms of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then I keep my ears on the ground towards events happening in Accra, and also through my connections, I have friends in South Africa, I have friends in Uganda, in other parts of Africa. Yeah. So I also kind of stalk their Facebook pages to kind of have a pulse on what is going on there. Because like sometimes you need counter examples, to help you make good arguments, if I should put it that way. So that's how I keep up. And, like it's also very tasking.
Yes.
Because like things are always popping up. Yeah. Bratakwe is always drawing. Tilapia or the black narrator, right? So you have to be on task to be able to know what's going on.
Yeah. I wanted to get your take on the state of contemporary art in. It seems that African artists like Amwako Boafo, so on and so forth, are very popular, and they all seem to be expressing a particular image. But the West is like eating it up, and it's helping our local artists. But I wanted to get your take on it as a based on the fact that you focus on pop culture and it's a popular thing.
But what image are you talking about?
You know, the dark face, the black face seems to be the most popular way to express right now.
I don't call it the blackface because blackface has a different context, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
It kind of almost feels like the same thing, but it's coming from us, so it's different. But yeah.
So I mean, there are two strands of artists, contemporary artists in Ghana now. The KNUST folks, and then the School of Ghana School of Art folks.
Okay.
And they have a very particular way of approaching their subject matter.
Okay.
Right.
Which is the Ghana School of Arts?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think Amwako Boafo is part. Ishak is one. There's this young gentleman whose exhibition I was part. I've forgotten his name. He'll kill me for this. Oh, shoot. But his studio is called World Phase. World Phase Studios.
World Phase at ARS, after ARS.
That's right.
Yeah. I know the guy you're talking about.
Please forgive me. So my take on contemporary art is that I think there is a saturation point regarding the type of works that is coming out. There's a focus on portraiture, and figurative art, and I think we are getting to a saturating point. But as with most artworks, when we get there, we cross the line. That's the way I see it. The other, dimension of contemporary art is what Ibrahim Mahama does, the big installations, such as the one that Serge also does. And going forward, I want to see kind of like a merge, to see like works by, what's his name, Ishak and, Akoto Boafo and all those, kind of trying to borrow from the aesthetics within the Mahama, Serge Atukwe into their work.
Okay.
So, I mean, now it's a good thing that, their works are flourishing. African art is selling. But I think that we are getting to a saturating point, on the side of those doing portraiture and figurative art.
Are you familiar with George Hughes?
George Hughes, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think his name is Afezi. He uses George Hughes mostly.
I see.
But I guess the extension of my question is that contemporary art can be a reflection of a people and a representation of a people. And the reason why I'm asking is because I'm concerned that most of this work is being consumed by the West, being paid for by the West, therefore the West owns it. My irkiness with the blackface, as I call it, but I know it's not blackface, but that expression being bought by largely Westerners to hang in their spaces, is that truly a reflection of African life, Ghanaian life, as it's being we want to be portrayed, or is it popular to make the money and to hell with however else it's consumed when people experience the piece, wherever they get to experience the piece?
Okay, my take on that is these works emerge from a particular, location.
Okay.
I think in the past 10 years, I think there has been this resurgence in a certain black identity, and these artists have bought into that. For a time, there was a marginalization of African artists. And now, so on one hand, there's this recognition that we have this crop of artists who are very talented. And then you had this global moment where there was I don't say people accepted themselves as black people.
Yes.
So in my generation, at least, when I was going to the US, you don't want to be identified as African.
You almost say
Right.
Jamaican or wherever it is that you can
That's right.
pass off as.
Yeah. And now you have a generation of, the youth who are really confident in their black identity,
Yes.
African identity.
Yes.
And I think you have this confluence of factors where you have these incredibly talented artists and you have this global moment. And I think they've seized on that moment to assert the black identity.
Okay.
And that's what I think I see in that. I share your ickiness where it's like, at what point are they going to stop? So I share that, I share that concern. But in answering your question, I think...
But I think you've given me a better perspective. I actually love what you just said to me because I never thought about it that way. But them asserting themselves, them being super talented, that being the global moment, and all of that coming together to say, this is who we are. It's almost, now I'm accepting it in my mind as sort of the word NIGGA, which we took ownership of at some
right.
point. And like, this is it.
That's
you
right.
better deal with it or whatever. Feels like maybe the art could say the same thing.
That's right.
For this collective.
Yeah.
So
And there's also, I dare say, I think there's also this, I think European art has come to a standstill. Like, I feel, so one, it has come to a standstill. And now we see the movement rather from black artists who can be in the diaspora and also also on the continent.
yes.
And I think that's where the collectors are seizing the moment to say, look, we are tired with our own, but we have the money to tap into these works that are coming from this part of the world. So I think that there is some dormancy. I don't know if it's an English word.
Yes,
but
it should be.
Yeah.
If not,
we've
Doc
made it.
just made it. So
We are putting it in.
yeah, we're putting it in.
There's a certain level of dormancy in European and American art, or white art,
Yeah.
however you call it. And, you have these. And if you look at, let's say, indigenous black aesthetics,
Yes.
right, there is so much that is going on. Currently, what I do, I'm not a trained artist.
Yes.
What I do is sketch.
Okay.
I sketch, and then I get, an artist that I feel can reflect what I've drawn to reproduce that on canvas. And when I started looking at even African masks, it sounds like a cliche. If you look at African masks, Charlie, and you think you have any sort of, artistic talent, tap into that. Look at, there's this group in Congo. They're called the Mangbetu ethnic group. They have this head elongation practice. Like, I look at that, I'm like, you can get so much inspiration from that. Look at I Can't Wait, right? The I Can't Wait, for example.
yeah.
So I think there is so much here that, whether you consciously tap into that to feed your work, or sometimes, you might not tap into it, but because you exist in that, location, there's some energy that is, you are tapping in, but you don't know, right? And I think that's, for me, if you ask my conspiracy theory, I think that fuels some of these artists' creativity as well.
Okay. Okay. Good.
And that's what makes their works expensive.
I was trying to, like I said to you, I was trying to read your, for lack of a better description, biography. I was dazed. I had to put the phone down a few times because I'm like, oh, this is a lot. How does one human being achieve so much? Then I got to a point, so Mutombo and I made a joke, pedagogy. And then I got to, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, semiotic silence.
Yes, semiotic silence, yeah.
And I was very curious about what drove you to have, is this a book or?
No, it's a research article.
Research article, yeah. what drove you to be curious about that? Basically speaking about how relationships, people speak without speaking, like body language, signs that they give between their part. Am I getting it right? Yeah. I'm very curious about what drove you to research that particular subject matter.
Yeah, good question. Again, this might sound like a cliche, but it's true. Virtually all my research stems from a personal experience. So when I was young, the way I dealt with silence, no, the way I dealt with conflict was always to withdraw. Because if within those, I had moments when I had acted within those conflict moments and I had to apologize, although the other person was wrong, right? So when I was faced with writing my thesis, I was like, how am I going to do this? And I had to delve into this personal experience. And I said, if I'm doing this, I think there are people out there that are also, using silence to manage what I call intimate conflict, right? So I interviewed, couples. So if you ask me how I came to that particular topic, first of all, it came from a personal experience.
Right.
And I felt that other people were using the same tactic. And in fact, it turned out to be true, right? So I interviewed people to see the type of silence. Okay, I didn't set out to investigate the type of silence they used. Rather, in talking to them, I got to know that there are different ways that silence manifests. So it can be just the simple keeping quiet.
Right.
But it can also be in you leaving the space and coming back to the conflict table. Right.
It's funny that you say that. One of the things that helped me grow up is you just expressed that you hated having to apologize because of how you react in the moment, even though the other person was wrong. And I found myself doing that a lot because I was quick to anger. I had a temper. And even though I felt like my anger was justified, the anger defeated my position where I had to go back and apologize.
Yeah.
And I hated it so much that that's how I calmed myself down from getting angry. I haven't perfected it to 100% like I would, but it's just very interesting to me that you're expressing this. I would like to read that article. Is my point.
Yeah.
But it's
Thank you. Yeah. So it stemmed from a personal experience, and then I felt I got people that also operated
So
in.
when you publish an article like that, is it public or is strictly for the university or the institution that you did it under?
It's supposed to be public, but now you have these journals where you have to pay money in order to access.
Okay.
But then we also have copies
Okay.
that we can give to people.
So this one is not publicly accessible.
So I'm on academia.edu. Sorry, academia.edu, yes.
Yes.
Where you can put proofs of your work.
Okay.
So if you type in the title, it might pop up. But if it doesn't pop up, just let me know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Please,
I'll
I'd
send it to you.
appreciate it. I'd love to read it.
Dope. So, in case I have something that I want to blow up, right? I have maybe a sign or a word or something that I want to blow up within, Ghana or even beyond. Who would you tell me, or what will your, advice be? Which route would you tell me to go? Is it maybe through a song? Is it maybe through this person, through some key people or some influencers,
If I don't answer your question correctly, then rephrase for me. For me, I'm a highly visual person.
Yeah.
And I think, in as much as we deal with visual and oral, AURAL, I think that the visual sells, right? The visual sells. So even if, as a spoken word artist, you want to blow, I think complement that with the visual. And by that, get, an artist, to kind of represent an aspect of your poetry in ways that are appealing to people.
Okay.
That's the way I understand your question.
Because now with these musicians, like they are getting people to dance to their songs.
Yes.
For it to trend, so.
And I mean, and I say this, my response was kind of gestures back to album covers, right? Now, album cover practice is virtually dead. I know, like somebody like One Love, has done that. So even if you are singing, please, because the covers also do some work for you. So I don't know.
Dope. I mean, you answered, Charlie.
Yeah.
Fred.
Charlie?
It's been...
As always?
It's been a pressure.
It's been a pressure. Very big pressure. Very big pressure. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, I've learned
I was trying to read up on
popular culture.
Okay.
Very, very, very dope.
I know my responses sometimes winding.
But at the end of the day, you answer. So we good, and it was
fantastic.
A good episode. Fantastic. We thank you for coming through.
Sure.
Oh, the one thing we didn't address was politics and popular culture in a larger sense. But can we ask this question before?
Yeah. I'll go.
So how do you feel about, first of all, the protests that are going on, in terms of how the Ghanaian populace is expressing itself or trying to speak truth to power from your perspective as an academic? Do you feel like there's any connection between popular culture and the way the youth are expressing themselves now?
Absolutely. There's a connection, a great connection. And that connection comes in the form of, it's a grassroots thing, right? Of course, we have the elite, or some of the elites involved. But the way I see that connection is, politics has always been a top-down, practice, where you have your legislators, you have the presidency, cabinet, the judiciary, and they will always talk down, and they will always say things that aligns with what will favor them.
Right.
And unless the people express contradictory ideas, right, to them, it will always be that position coming
Top
up.
down.
If you look at political cartoons provide complementary discussions to mainstream discussions. And so if you ask me, how do I see the protest? They are complementing the democratic practice that we claim to, espouse. And that involves, doing things that might not be pleasant or will not be pleasant to the status quo.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So the connection that I see there is that they are complementing by giving alternative, viewpoints and actions.
Yeah. Awesome.
Maybe you can ask me and I can rephrase. I don't know.
No, I love it.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
that was dope.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Charlie.
All right.
Dr. Oduro-Frimpong, we thank you for coming through the podcast for the crew.
Yes, sir.
I hope it works. Yep.
And Charlie, guys, you guys should check out his Instagram, Ghanaian_popular culture. On Instagram. Are you on Twitter now, X?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Twitter now.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest rebrand fail ever.
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. Fred.
It's been dope. It's been dope.
dope.
And I'm gonna take Doc's number. So I can reach out.
Yeah. So, guys, Charlie, we thank you for checking out the pod. Another episode. There will be another episode after this. So stick with us. The F more, let's divide. Fred.
Yes, sir.
We are through.
Dope.
What are you?